1, 2, 3.
Yes, it's the Late Late Breakfast Show with your host, Bernie J. Mitchell.
Are you in?
Are you in?
We're ready and we're live from somewhere I never thought I'd be. I'm in a vineyard talking about co-working and I'm on a sofa. So I have a secret guest here who's flown in all the way from Bath. So who are you and what do you do?
My name's Tom and I run the Guild Coworking Hub in Bath. We've been around since 2013, 200 members. I'm full with a waiting list.
I've heard you're Bath's #1 co-working space.
Yeah, we're Bath's only co-working space at the same time, so we've got those double accolades. We're going for a third one pretty soon, which is Bath's longest standing co-working space, and many more to come, I'd imagine.
That's cool. So, before I start on another, where do you think co-working is in 2016? What I really wanted to pick your brains about today was all the I heard you say Zapier and things like that, and I spend a lot of time running around saying, oh, there's an app for that. And it's very rarely I meet someone with a co-working space and an arsenal of apps and connections and stuff like that. So if we veer down that road today, and I just riff about the systems you use and project tools and stuff like that. Because as you've been talking over the weekend here, I've been getting really excited about the appiness of your co-working space.
I think it's all born out of the fact that I'm a bit of a cloud-based tool addict. I always have been, really. So as soon as I started my business years ago, I used Free Agent for accounting and bookkeeping, that kind of thing. And it kind of just appealed to me, the whole idea of not having to update software, the whole idea of it just always being there for you on demand, whatever device you were on, and not getting corrupted and that kind of thing if you're trying to install something in your server. And the reason behind it is I'm not a techie, really. I don't really have time to sort that out. And I'm just not patient enough. And then so I sort of had all these systems when I was running my little mini marketing agency. So I had like a CRM system called Capsule, and Free Agent and that kind of thing. And
did you discover Capsule through Free Agent or Free Agent?
Probably the same sort of time, because they're both run by, I think the guys that run them know each other.
I found Free Agent. I found Free Agent through Capsule about 100 years ago. Right.
Yeah. Well, it was a bit of an emotional struggle moving away from Capsule. So we've moved from Capsule to High Rise and now onto Podio. So it's been a bit of a journey. But I sort of, as a non-coder, I suddenly discovered this whole magical word of API, which I didn't really understand, which effectively means it's kind of like the ability to connect apps together without having to code, basically. So it's how they sort of, the apps expose their data to each other. And that's what really changed things for me. So you mentioned Zapier. Zapier was invented as a way for total non-coders to say, here's a bit of action coming from one app, do something in another app. So if you've ever used something like If That, Then This, very similar. So for example, with this, say the Capsule Free Agent example, if my customer pays a bill, then put a note in Capsule to say this customer's paid their bill. And it's all automated. So that was pretty interesting. I sort of played around with that for a little bit. And then when I opened the Guild, I just got totally obsessed with it, probably to the point of obsession. And just started installing more and more apps. So we kind of have this, sort of explain our system in general. We've got Podio, which is our kind of, it does most of the back office stuff. So it does things like HR and recruitment, and it's able to do things like our members' intranets, and it can do a sort of document management. So it does things like our insurance. And so basically it's a sort of intranet system.
When you say it does that, what is it? Does it go out and does it automatically think we need to hire someone and go out and find them more?
No, okay, so the hiring thing is a really good example. So the way Podio works is it's kind of like a big database that has the ability to create your own app. They call them apps, but they're just basically bunches of fields that interact together. So I can say, right, I'm going to make a job candidate app. And I drag in a field called text, a text field, and call that candidate name. Drag in another field called job title and have a multiple choice one. So front of house, sales, whatever. Dragging a date field, there's all sorts of different fields, location field, but then the fields can interact with each other and interact with other apps. So you can basically say, I've got an app called HR where I need to hire somebody, and it'll pull the job description from somewhere else. So as soon as I hit sales, it'll then pull the job description from another part of the system.
Yep.
So it's kind of the systems all working together and all the apps are interrelating. But the beauty of Podio is then there's a step further, which is any app can be exposed to the web using a web form. So suddenly we've got an ability to put a form on our website saying job available, front of house job available, and all the fields that you decide you want to show. So what's your name? What's your address? What date do you want to start? The candidates fill those out, and every time they fill them out, it comes into our stream, which looks a bit like Facebook. So all of this stuff's going on, whether it's HR, whether it's members intranet. And on the members intranet side, we've got, for example, a buy and sell app. So I just drag some forms in. What do you want to sell? When do you want to sell it by? How much is it? It's a currency field. So all of these apps are working together, and the members can only see the members intranet. My team can see most of the back office stuff. I can only see the financial stuff. So it's very granular, but very, very simple. I say even for a non-coder like me, I can't even code a line of HTML. So it's very, very simple. And then again, once you've done all this stuff, so you have everything set up, Podio has an API. So Podio can then talk to Zapier, which is this sort of Lego for the web thing.
That was a very good way of describing it.
Yeah. So Lego for the web, if that, then this. It's all take one system and let another system do something. So for example, every time a bill gets paid in Go Cardless, which is our direct debit system, which a lot of hubs use, I know, it posts into our Podio stream, so I can tell a bill's been paid. And that's using the APIs of both of those systems. Equally, when a bill fails payment, so when somebody doesn't have enough money in their account or something, it pings an email to the front of house manager, and it also writes that person's name into a spreadsheet, an online spreadsheet. And every week in Podio, there's an automatic meeting in our meetings app, which we designed just by dragging fields in like anything else. And it's every time I sit down with my front of house manager, we have a list of members who failed payment, and I can just double check, whether we worked out what was wrong, we spoke to them, we tried to rebuild them. So the systems all work independently, but the beauty of the API, or the APIs, and having a master system, which in our case is Podio, just means there's a single point of information flow, I guess. And I can see that anywhere in the world. I can see it on my phone. Yeah.
So how long does it take to, or actually, if you were going to teach someone how to do this, how long do you think it would take? Because things I haven't got all that set up, but things like that, because I've set them up over years and years and years, I've no idea how long it takes. It's just like second nature now. But to set it all up, is that like a day, a week, a month, or trial and error?
I think this is probably reflective of the issues that we're all facing as co-working starts to become more popular. So I'm getting asked to do this stuff. So I'm getting phone calls from people, emails from people from other local authorities who want to do a similar situation to the Guild, which was local authority supported, or entrepreneurs, people opening spaces, and they're asking the same questions. And I don't know, because like you, it's a beast that's built up over years. Now, if I was going to deploy that in a new space, now bear in mind I only have one space, so I don't know yet, but how long would it take? I've no idea. I could sit there for a week, sit there for 2 weeks. Equally, now I know the solution and the kinds of challenges that got to that solution. If I took on another space for someone else, then I'd probably hire a coder in and give them a brief. Yeah. So I suppose it depends to what extent you want to replicate what you've already done, and to what extent you want it to be a solution to the individual space's need. But I think it would take a while. I think it would take a while to test it. And again, saying I'm not a coder is partly about code, but it's also about the way I work. I'm not particularly structured, so I don't really like a lot of coders. I don't sit down and work out everything out in a formal way. I'm just kind of quite driven on instinct.
So I'm like that too, and I've been introduced to this new tool which you might have heard of, called Process Street.
No, I've not heard that.
Link in the show notes. And so I'm going through all my, everything I do, so I can. It's just a very easy way. I'm obsessed with those like drag and droppy things, and things to look nice. So it's probably just like a Google form, but it's fun to play with. So I'm writing out the process of everything I do, which is quite a hard thing for me to do anyway. But like I could tell you it now, but writing it down is really hard. But that's helping me.
That could be the key, actually. So one of the biggest challenges I've got in the entire business at the moment is I've worked out that whatever I decide to do, And this is everything from opening another space, from starting another business, from franchising it maybe, or within the business. So, new members of staff, how they are going to learn what we do as quickly as possible, or marketing wise, so things like a podcast or a YouTube channel or something like that. I've worked out we need a single Bible of everything, and everything else is spun out from that. So we have this Bible, we put it in, and it's basically all the processes we've ever got, all the how we do everything, how the guild is the guild. We put that in a locked safe, and then when I do a one-day workshop, a little bit of it comes out. When I do, if we sell a franchise, the whole of it comes out, but you have to sign a NDA.
Yep.
If somebody does if I do a podcast, I might just take one chapter and talk about it. But that, I've been avoiding doing that Bible because it's too much of a beast, and that could be the way.
So why do you think we avoid doing that? Because I know, because I've read enough things that tell me like it's a really good way to clear your head and get even better. But
there's a number of reasons. I reckon. I think partly just getting overwhelmed by the business itself. As you started this conversation with, we're sitting in this vineyard, in this barn, and we've had a couple of days away from our sort of day-to-day working life, and that kind of thing makes a difference, because the alternative is I get into work with all these great ideas in my head to get everything down, and I open my email and I start working my way through it, and then the internet's not working, and then someone's chair's broken, and then someone's tripped over another member's dog or something, and it's just relentless, and I don't ever get to that point. So for me, I think this is going to be sort of like a sort of fairly hippie thing to say, but I think I just need a bit of a change in lifestyle. I'd realised from this weekend, I need to be able to get away from the space in order to work on the business.
It's Houston Street's #1 co-working space.
Is it? Yeah, and I've heard good things about it, actually. They have good T-shirts.
Yeah, probably only from us, but...
Yeah, well, it's interesting because you kind of joke, but I have sat in one of the serviced offices in Bath, and we've done like a swap, and you think, I've worked from home. That's the other funny thing. You think, I'm working from home, I'm getting loads done, and I'm thinking I feel guilty because I should be in my co-working space. Maybe it will become full circle and we'll all start working from home, and that'll be the new co-working space.
We
hope so.
We could be the cult. I don't, as regular listeners to this podcast, when I working at home kills me. I think it reminds me of the ugly me I used to be, because I'm so good looking now. If I spend more than 2 days at home, I go...
It kills me too. And one of the things that on my journey to opening a space was when I used to work for Mars. I did pretty well in sales, and I was on the road all day and selling coffee machines, but I couldn't work from home. And one day a week we had to work from home, and that's when you were meant to make your sales calls, and I just couldn't do it. And I remember sitting in the car at a service station. You spent a lot of time in service stations, and you're a rep, and I was sitting there thinking, why don't these service stations open spaces where people like me can work comfortably? Because I'm just, home has a bit of a negative connotation with work. And I thought about getting a van kitted out, and I thought about all kinds of things. I was just thinking, we're missing a trick. We used to do phoning days at Regis, and it was just soul destroying. So I can't, and I've basically, the joke at work is that I've built my ultimate man cave at the hub, because and it's true, and it's somewhere I go to work, and I can't work from home. Equally, I respect the fact that a lot of our members, in fact the majority of our members, do still work from home as well. So for them, it's working from home is fine. It's just they don't see other grown-ups, and they don't get the photocopier, and they don't get the banter, and they don't get the water cooler moments and the silliness, and that's what they miss. So yeah, there's a real spectrum, isn't there? And some people come to this, well, you probably have the same. They come to the space and they last a couple of days, and they just want to be at home because there's too much music,
too much fun, and
too much
games.
Fun. Yeah, I think there's far too much fun at co-working spaces.
So what I've done is, it comes from when baby Bernie was little. I looked after him 1 day a week, and so I basically worked a 4-day week. And when he was really, really little, that was okay. But then when he became a toddler, you couldn't like pretend to work and then do something else, and you're missing time anyway. So I did more work in 4 days than I did in 5, perversely. So now I've gone back to going like Fridays. I just don't do anything. Most Fridays I cook at home and listen to books all day, and it's lovely. So it's not going into the hub, but because I'm so automated with everything, actually that is part of my automation, is to making sure I don't have to look at anything on Friday.
I think also this it sometimes sounds a bit of a cliche, the whole changing the nature of work, but it's true. I'm a bit of a shared parenting rights activist, and I think as we move towards that model of, fathers playing such a massive role in the home and with kids and that kind of thing, then, and everyone having portfolio careers, by its nature, people's workplaces are going to be quite fluid. So you may be at home, you may be at work, you may be in the car, you may be wherever. For me, co-working space for a lot of people, provide whatever their lifestyle is, provides an anchoring point. So it provides a place that they can call work, even though it's just one of many places they work. So it's more of a lifestyle thing. It's more of a kind of, I know I've got that place. But I think, what you've done and what I do as a co-parenting father is we need that flexibility of as many spaces as possible. And I'm as much likely to make a sales call in the car as I am to, listen to a training course in the shower or something. It's just, it's always there, isn't there? There's the fluidity between work and play is gone, really.
I'm thinking about that.
Maybe I'm just obsessed with work.
I think it's. So the huge pause there is because there's people in my life who love the 9 to 5. They're teachers and they work in banks and they do that, and I like being around when no one else is. So I like getting in really early in the morning and then coming home in the afternoon. And I work best in the morning, and because I work on my own, I'm able to pick where I work. And I'm very resistant to any type of, having other people having to be there.
Have you thought co-working may not be for you, or?
I think co-working is for me because I just like I get in really early, do all my stuff, and I don't always do all my stuff, and then lunchtime spend time hanging out, and then run home and get baby Bernie. But I work really hard in the morning, because I know mainly not because I've got a beautiful life, because I know I'm not going to do anything in the afternoon because I'm just crap.
The thing is, I kind of agree with you. I'm a bit of a loner by design. I like living on my own. I like being on my own. I spend a lot of time on my own, but I run a co-working space which I've run deliberately because I want to surround myself with people. So again, it's about balance and it's about lifestyle, isn't it? I like being able to dip into that, and I'm like you. I tend to work late rather than early, but everyone will go home at 6 o'clock at the guild, and I'll still be there until midnight on my own, sort of pottering around trying to make sure everything's exactly right. But for me, it's that combination of choice. For some reason I like making calls in the car because it just feels quite, I can kind of concentrate, but it's just a choice, isn't it? And then I use the hub as more of a kind of social workspace. Yeah. And then I use home, if I have to be at home, as more of a boring, just get writing and stuff done. But again, for me, it comes back to what I think for most people that are members of our space, it's about that choice. They can work from home, they can work from the hub, they can work from wherever. Whereas if they're just working from home, a lot of them just seem to go mad, really, or they're just not getting that kind of adult interaction that you get from work. And the interesting thing I find is when we talk to people about the Christmas party, a Christmas party was a huge success for us this year, so much so that we couldn't find anywhere to host it in Bath. And people were saying that they didn't realise the things that they would miss from leaving work. They were really surprised. They were like, yeah, I'm leaving work. I'm never going to have to go back to 9 to 5. And they missed so much about the bits that they didn't even realise they were enjoying. So like the water cooler moments, the Christmas party, the nicer side of office banter, office politics, whatever. They kind of, it's just part of who we are, really. Even though they like working on their own and they like working from home, they just want to get that buzz of other people's lives and other people's interesting stuff and share.
There was something, I can't remember the exact line, something that was said around here was, maybe it was even you, about we were employing people to like run the place or be front of house staff and that type of role versus they're looking over a group of people that have all chosen to be there and this person's turning up for a job. So there's all these freelancers, independent economic agents, entrepreneurs, or whatever we're called this week, and then there's like one person who actually has a job there, and that dynamic.
Yeah, it's true. I think, and I deliberately recruit for front of house as a what's the word? A kind of a facilitator, I guess, rather than a member of staff who sort of collects the post and tidies up and does that kind of thing. They feel like a member, but they're kind of like the social lubricant, let's say.
Yep.
Kind of, it's I'm passionate about the fact that for our members, my brief to my staff is we need to make their day every time they walk in, because work isn't always great and it's a bit of a judge sometimes, and people do come in to do their admin and that kind of thing, and the stuff that we do that makes them smile and makes them talk to each other is they love us for it. And it's every time we ask people what it is about the guild that makes it different, people say the sort of secret sauce we've got is the staff, is the team. That's what they do. And the team, well, members are always coming up to me saying, I'm sorry I had to sort of take half an hour of front of house Alice's time because I was having a bad time or something. And there's so my team are kind of part confidants and part counsellors and they're a bit like, your barber or your,
bartender.
Your bartender, yeah, very, very similar. And people need that. And again, it comes back to the fact that when they were at work, they kind of got that from, the sympathetic line manager or the colleague that was going through a tough time or something. You don't get that from working from home.
So I want to finish on this little thing I heard you say yesterday, was when you walk past that person and you want them to not be using their computer, or if you see them using their computer, you say to them, what are you doing? Because
the opposite to what happens in the workplace.
Yeah, because I could automate that for you so you can spend more time to people. So how do you discover those things?
How do I discover which things?
How do you like make someone admit that they? Because when you said that, actually, I thought they might think that if I give that to Tom to automate, I'm doing myself out of a job.
Yeah, and I think people are conditioned to look like they're working hard, and it's like I had this whole idea for a sort of comedy sketch. It's what happens at Facebook when somebody walks past you and you're on a spreadsheet. You kind of alt and tab into Facebook and hope they didn't see you. So it's similar to that. It's kind of like I think if somebody comes to work for us, their instinct is to I better look busy. And all I think with my systems mind is them looking at a computer is not real. That's not the community building we're talking about. They're doing something on email. I mean, I'm as guilty as everyone else, but they're answering an email. They're doing something that we could automate, or we could at least move to the end of the day or the start of the day. Meanwhile, when they're doing that, somebody may be walking in who's having a bad day, their head down, and the person that I've employed because they're going to make their day is not saying, "How's you doing? I've just put some sweets out on the desk, or we've got Wimbledon on in the room or whatever," and I know you like that, and there's little things that do make people's days. So yeah, it's quite a tough one for people when they start working for us. But it's like when you walk past somebody and they're just sitting having a chat on the sofa with a member, you think that's what you should be doing, not looking at spreadsheets.
Mm-hmm. I've got millions of other auto questions bubbling up, but that's a great place to end. So where can people find you and the guild and all those things online?
I'm pretty terrible at social media, actually. I'm going to try and get better at it after this weekend, after getting some inspiration from you as well. So
I'm an inspiring social media guru available. You can buy my course for $170,000.
As long as the price ends in a 7, that's the $97 or $77.
You've done that course too.
So we're at theguildhub.co.uk. I'm with the Guild Hub on Twitter, and I am on most things. I'm Tom Lewis UK, so Twitter and that kind of thing.
Tom Lewis UK.
Tom Lewis UK.
Oh, UK.
Yeah, Tom Lewis is okay.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time. Lovely
Cheers,
to meet
Bernie.
you. High five.
Please go to berniejmitchell.com/podcast. Bernie would love your feedback.